so that when the common assessment has been undertaken, there is the ability to judge how much is, in money terms, is actually needed to provide for that person. The next thing that then happens is that there is an assessment of an individual's ability to meet those needs financially. And across the country, the majority of councils are only able to provide for those people whose needs are judged to be either critical or substantial, and that's the case currently with the county council. I don't foresee that changing. When those assessments are completed, the idea is that then people have the choice, and I think that this is really important to say that they have the choice. People are anxious that what's happening is they're going to be prevented from accessing the care that they currently access in the way that they currently receive it. That's not so. They can opt to have an individual budget, but that is not forced upon them. I attended a consultation on this earlier in the week, and I think the things that came out of it were that people were generally supportive of what was happening, saw that there was the ability to do something perhaps better, something different, but the real anxiety was that people hadn't really picked up that this was an increase in choice. The consultation exercise that I referred to earlier was the first of, I think it's 6 that are being held across the whole area. And there's another one on Friday in Ellesmere Port, and then a further one in Winsford later in the month. And there will be other mechanisms for consulting with service users and the general public. When we have the results of that consultation exercise, a report will be brought to us, brought to the executive, and then we will decide the way forward. So I can't say to you, these are the changes that I intend to make, because that means I'm not listening, doesn't it? We intend currently to progress the agenda that Cheshire has set in motion. And we will tailor that according to the feedback that we get from the consultation exercises that we're undertaking.
Very well as relates to the Northgate development and that the Gateway Theatre has closed, I'd like to ask Councillor Shaw what actions are being considered, if any, to bring in temporary arrangements so that we can again enjoy live theatre in the city. The loss of the theatre affects both the public who wish to see the performing arts and the performers who wish to perform them.
The issue of the Gateway Theatre is something which it was closed down. It was closed down quite some time ago through various reasons. The Arts Council stopped supporting the fund because there'd been so much prevarication that it was going to keep running, not keep open, and so on. So eventually they pulled the plug on their funding. So they've thank you. So the gateway was closed. Since it's been closed, it has been checked and does require an enormous amount of expenditure to repair the infrastructure. The seats were sold, all the fittings have been disposed of. There's no actual figure being put on how much it would cost to restore it, own it, but sort of around between £1 and £2 million is a figure which is talked about. It would seem to me that whatever happens in the future, that would be rather dead money if we actually refurbished it and opened it up again. The difficulty about our performing arts centre is that, replacement centre, is that the Northgate development was supposed to have started, I think, in 2005, wasn't the leader here, just to confirm. Should have been all finished and completed by now, in spite of what you might read in papers. It is not. It is, but it's now the credit squeeze. It's likely to be around about 2012 before we actually get started on it again. So by the time we get to where the Performing Arts Centre will be constructed, we're probably looking at something like 8 to 10 years before that Performing Arts Centre is built within that scheme. Now that might well be speeded up, could even be delayed. And I think on that basis, I think we do have to look at some alternatives. We have been looking in the short term, we have consultants engaged to see how we can actually provide some solutions. They are looking at alternative venues such as the Odeon, the Mega Bingo and other smaller buildings. But it seems that they will be able to be brought into use very quickly. But what we are trying to do is find out how we can obtain a temporary, if you like, structure which provide a performing arts facility. What form this will take is not quite clear, but I think there are many temporary buildings which are a big step away from the classical marquee which you think about, which could possibly provide something which would be the order of, I think, £500,000 or £600,000. But if that was in place for 3 or 4 years, it would be probably money well spent providing a decent venue.
I think it's terribly important. Chester is a centre for tourism. My wife and I, we only live 5 miles away from Chester. We had the opportunity about a year ago, we won something in a competition, of staying overnight in Chester. And so I thought, well, it sounds good. It's a freebie, bed and breakfast in Chester. We try it. And I went to the information centre and said, what could we do? We're going to stay in Chester next Tuesday night. What could we do? Where could we go? And they said, well, there's some nightclubs and there's some pubs. Apart from that, there isn't even a council meeting that you could attend. so in the end, we said, well, it's not worth it. We can sit at home and watch the television. We're not going to Chester. Now, you know, if you were an international visitor, I mean, we've been to America and various other places, and at night you want to go out and look at something, find some culture, do something. You can't in Chester, and the sooner you can address that problem, the better.
Thank you for that. I just love the idea that council meetings are entertainment. Councillor Short, is there anything that you'd like to say?
The point you make absolutely, totally, 100% valid. I think we're losing ground as a visitor attraction because we do not have a theatre. The big issue about tourists or visitors is the overnight stay. That brings a real financial gain to the city. What is it to stay for overnight? If you haven't got a theatre, you've got nothing. Alexander's and Telford's, yes, might be nice pubs, but that's what they are, pubs with performance space. It also, I think, has a very serious effect on the economic attraction of the city. What big company is going to come here and say, we'll go to Chester because they've got a wonderful theatre, they've got wonderful races, they've got a football club, and they've even got council meetings we go to. But it's not going to attract them, I'm afraid. We do need that big star attraction of a theatre, and also I think we need a cinema centre or somewhere close than we've got.
On the issue of the need to, if you like, get on with things, because I discovered yesterday that Chester Performs, the organisation that was set up to fill the gap in terms of arts, you know, before the new Performing Arts Centre was delivered, they had their last big event in December, and they've not now got another big cultural event until May. So that's sort of 5 months without anything, really. So, I mean, I've heard talk that we've got to intensify cultural activities in the city to make up for the lack of a theatre, but it doesn't seem to be happening, you know?
I think that is something which we